Good evening, everyone. Monday night, 8 p.m., episode 230. Yes, you heard right. We've made it through this far. The Online Darts Live Lounge returns. Myself, Phil Bars, and Dan Simpson. And we have pulled a guest out of the bag. Last minute negotiations transpired. And we have the one and only Mr. Niall Culleton, new tour card holder, joining us around 8:30. Dan, how we doing, buddy?
Very well, mate. Very well indeed. It's it's a bit of a come down, isn't it? After Q School, everybody loves Q School. We love Q School on this channel. We had good fun on the final day yesterday, talking everybody through it. But yeah, really good. It feels like for a lot of people, it's sort of the start of the season, the start of the new year. But it doesn't really stop, does it? There doesn't seem to have been a gap between like the World Championships and then we're straight into Q School, and now that Q School's finished, everything's a bit clearer. We know who's doing what this year, and it's only a matter of days before we're back on TV with darts again. And it never stops. It's constant, but we love it. Yeah, all is good, mate. How are you all the way down there?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad at all. I can't grumble. It's been good. Yeah, just looking on site. I don't know if something's changed, but I can't put the comments on screen.
Oh yeah, I can't either. I haven't got my little option button to turn the comments on. Has someone faffed around in our
We'll do some digging on that. That's a weird one.
Yeah, someone's faffed around with the software, but yeah, there's normally, and sometimes I can do it with a space bar, and that's not working either. That's doing something different. So someone's definitely faffed around with our software.
Yeah, 100%.
Disapprove.
Other than that, it's all good. Chat room is rammed already. Fraser is
good.
Malika, how are we doing, mate? No, none of us cried when we saw the Merv King interview. There was a little bit of dust in my eye.
Yeah.
We'll talk on that in a little bit. Shelty, how are we doing? Good to have you in. Warren, Rob is in. Gordon, Mark, how are we doing, buddy? Dale, Dave is in stateside. Sarah, Shay is in. Jack, Dave says evening, or Brad, James, Pat Mass is in. I tell you what, it is rammed. Edgar also said Aspinall wasn't the other choice. If Bunting, Edgar's correct. I know the same information as him. There's a reason that as soon as the PDC went live, our stuff was out. Evening, Dylan. How we doing? Daniel is in. Andrew, Paul, how we doing? Good evening. Marcus, Wayne is in.
It's busy, isn't it?
And I'm loving it. Adam is in. How are we all doing?
Like a busy Monday.
Yeah. If I haven't been able to watch live, it was a great week at Q School, which we'll touch on. Can we get a Van Veen interview soon? Well, it's funny you should say that. Now that Q School's done, I sent the message to Dan earlier. The paperwork has been ticked. I have a visa.
The visa has been granted, ladies and gentlemen.
I
don't know how, because they don't normally allow gingers in the desert for health and safety reasons. It's normally it's not the weather for folks like you, is it? You're gonna have to get it yourself a large hat, I think, a wide brimmed hat.
Teresa is in. How are we doing? Edgar said also Gary was asked, is there any truth in this? I spoke to Gary and Gary's management. Neither were contacted. And I asked, can I make that public? And they said yes. So yeah, neither Gary or his management team were contacted. That came from them. So that is that. But yes, we will have plenty of content coming from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia next week, which will be cool. So yeah, that is that. Right, let's jump straight into Q School, as Darren Webster used to say. I used to love Darren Webster. God, he wasn't there this year. Look, we have the class of 2026. What was your overriding opinion after we'd seen Q School?
I think what's slightly predictable is my overarching view after we've seen Q School is the same as my overarching view before we'd seen Q School, which is that we would see some very, very strong players come through it. We'd see some, real potential, future potential stars of the game, but it wouldn't deliver the best 1-8 players in the world, because we would see some incredibly talented players miss out either only just, or we'd see them have a bad week. But I thought it was good overall. I think I've certainly looked at the list of tour card winners in previous years and thought that it was a much more sort of, a much more of a rogues gallery than we get this year. I look through the names this year and I think that there's a good section, a good set that I expect to develop and become better dart players on tour, playing regularly. There's a good section of them that I think have a good chance of retaining their tour card. There's a couple of rogue ones. There's a couple of people that, I have to put my hands up there. I had to get into Google, and that little known that there wasn't anything in Google, and we end up having to, try and chat to people in the chat room who once played a county game against them and stuff. So yeah, there's a couple of rogues in there that we didn't expect, but that's what Q School in this format brings. We said for years and years that we absolutely hated the fact that you could win a match and not win a point, and we absolutely hated it. And we got what we wanted this year. Everybody got the points that they earned, but what that meant was you had to top the numbers up. You can't have buys. You've got to bring people in, and you then run the risk of one of those players turning up and playing amazing for a day. And whether people think they should or shouldn't have been there or not, they came up and they were invited and they beat everyone in front of them and they got a tour card. So yeah, there'll be a few people maybe feel aggrieved and don't like the system, but I think that a system like that still rewards people having an incredible day and beating everybody else is much better than a system where you win a match and don't win a point. And we never liked that. Nobody liked that, did they? It was rubbish.
Yeah. Was 2 cards a day too many? Should it have just been the winner?
See, this is the difficulty for me, is because I sort of want to have my cake and eat it, because I don't think that 2 cards a day is too many. I quite like the idea of the top 2 getting a card. But by the same token, I really dislike only the top 5 in the order of merit in the UK getting cards. I think that's such a small number that I think the order of merit could and should be a little bit deeper, especially in the UK. To only bring 5 through the order of merit, I'm not sure I quite like that. But I do enjoy the fact that there's 2 names a day getting up. I quite like that. Again, it depends on a bit of what you want, because I know there's people that want to see more automatic and less order of merit, and I can see it in the chat room. But you're then rewarding one good day, whereas with your order of merit, you are rewarding consistency. And I don't know whether, if you're looking for players that are going to be effective on tour, that can consistently play at a high level and beat other people, then I don't know whether the order of merit is better at. Somebody will have done some analysis over the years on whether, how many people retain their tour card that first cycle and whether they came through automatically or through the order of merit. But I feel like the order of merit proves more that you're able to compete consistently rather than one good day.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't agree with the card split, first of all.
Agreed.
Just because you have had more entries in phase 1 for me is irrelevant, because the standard and the lower end of the EU in stage 1 was horrific, some of it. So yeah. It was, yes, there was more, but there was more dross. So that should have no impact. You can only win a card in stage 2, and there is 128 on each side. So for me, it should be split as equally as physically possible. Like this year, there was an odd number, so it can't be. There's always going to be an odd one. which is fine. If it's one more in Europe or one more in the EU, that's just the way it is. But I didn't agree with the 16-13 split to start with.
Especially on that order of merit, 5 and 8. 5 and 8 is really not quite justified, is it? It just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel right, regardless of what you start with, because stage 2, you're playing the same competition, aren't you? On both sides of the sea, you're playing the same competition in stage 2.
Here's one for you, and it would take more doing, and it would be over a longer process. But I quite like the idea. You still have your EU and UK stage 1, but then stage 2 is all in the same place. So you have your stage 1, and then 3-4 days later, whatever that is, you have your 2-5-6 in the same building.
That's a lovely idea until somebody says that building should be in Germany. And then there'll be 125 people really pissed off in England.
But vice versa, there'd also be pissed off people coming from.
Exactly. That's what I mean. You're going to piss someone off.
I guess
you alternate years, unless you do it in, on the continent one year, England the next year, or Scotland the next, unless you do it like that and alternate it. But yeah, I'm not sure, mate. I really aren't. I don't think, especially, I love the idea in practice. I just don't think there's a way that you can make it happen.
Yeah, it was just an interesting thought to it. The other one, and I get it. I'm not saying I agree with it, but Jimmy Van Schie didn't need to play the last day. I understand why, because if he wins, he then drops off the order of merit, and then there's another place. I get that, but I just think it's hard for players knowing that they've already got a card to be at their very best. Do you know what I mean? They've got their card. They've achieved the mission. Q School was to go there and get a card. Doesn't matter how you do it, you've got one.
Yeah, it throws up all sorts of mess, doesn't it? And it's just the same as, we've seen, if on that final day you get a player going dark green after one match, and then how much use are they and then how many times do we see a player going dark green, getting their tour card, and then in the next game they average 60?
I think it's different. If you go dark green after a game, that's different. But Jimmy Van Schie was dark green as soon as day 3 ended. It was mathematically impossible to catch him. Now, if there was a Rachel Riley style of equation that could say he's not guaranteed a tour card, then you have to play. I get that. How unlikely it is, it could still happen. So fully behind that. But he was secured a card before the draw was even done. So my argument is they could have said, right, you haven't got to play, and you top it up with someone else, and then someone's got 1 day shot of glory again. Yeah,
it's not ideal, is it? It's a symptom of a very troublesome. So it's very hard to get it right. You're never going to please everybody. You're never going to please everybody. But that is the difference, because what somebody will say, well, if Jimmy hadn't played the last day, or if he'd have won on that last day, then someone else gets a tour card. But all that does is then take that tour card away from somebody else that's got one. There are only a finite number of tour cards, and only so many people can get them. So, if we say, oh, well, so-and-so might have got his, all that means is somebody else wouldn't have done in order to do that.
Yeah, to be fair, I like Teresa's idea here as well.
That's a given.
The challenge tour needs to be used more. You have a year's worth of data. You have a year's worth of people trying. That system needs to be used better, in my opinion, to hand out things like tour cards.
100%.
And I don't know if it ever will. Look, I know that one thing I know. Look, we give the PDC some stick, but they do evaluate things quite well. Is the thing. They do make changes and they do evaluate things. So hopefully that's kind of one of them that they look at. And hang on a minute, how can we make the challenge tour better and more relevant to people playing the whole year. Like, let's be fair, the numbers for this weekend's Challenge Tour are going to be insane because of the prizes on offer. If you can be in that top 5,
if you get there,
Sunday, if you're in that top 5, you've got a golden ticket.
Yeah, you're going to the Pro Tour without a doubt.
I don't know.
Privileged spot to be in.
Yeah, I don't know if Derek Coulson will attend the Challenge Tour or not. I hope so. Evening, Johnny. Hope you are good. Like, I literally, because where the office is here, we have a vault twice a week, and Chaz Barstow is actually playing down there. I popped down and saw him, and I was like, "Are you going to the Challenge Tour?" He said, "I can't go Friday because I think it's his daughter's birthday or something, but I'm going on the Friday and the Saturday. I'm sorry, the Saturday and the Sunday." So he's still going because of what's on offer.
Yeah, he knows if he goes and picks up big points, could mean a lot, especially early in the season. If you can build and establish yourself towards the top of that Challenge Tour, you could find yourself regularly involved in Pro Tour action.
So congratulations to the tour card holders. These are the daily winners. In the UK, it was Charlie Manby, Samuel Price, Tom Sykes, Shane McGurk, Carl Sneed, Niall Culleton, Rhys Griffin, and Adam Leake. So I'm reading off the computer behind me. In the EU, Sepp Leap, Jeffrey Deswan, Matthias Elias, Yorinik Hoffens, Christo Reyes, Jeffrey Sparadans, Arno Merck, and Philippe Brazier. The Order of Merit, UK, Stephen Burton, Mervyn King, Tyler Thorpe, Stephen Rosney, and David Sharp. The EU, Jimmy Van Schie, Chris Landman, Marvin Kraft, Benjamin Pratnamar, Adam Gavlas, Jurgen van der Velde, Alexander Merckx, and Pascal Reprek. That is the class of 2026. Now, off of both, who are you most looking forward to seeing?
Should say Niall Culleton, really, shouldn't I? But no, if I there's a few, I suppose. Like, we've been watching Tom Sykes for ages. You know, he was at the Live Lounge live. One before last, sort of 13 months or so ago. So really, really pleased to see Tom there, because we know how well he can play, and we know he's a nice guy, and it's nice to see decent people doing well. I suppose in the EU, you've got to be excited about seeing Jimmy Van Schie there, because again, we know how well he can play. We know he can do some really cool stuff on a dartboard, and that's quite exciting. Again, I think Jurgen van der Velde is exciting. I think he's one of the younger players that needs. We've seen him on TV, but we have to see more development from him, and this is where you get it. That's where he's going to get better. I think where the big steps in his game comes is playing those top players regularly, being a professional dart player. You probably aren't into darts if you're not pleased to see Merv there. The difficulty with Mervyn King is it's how well he can then build on this and how effective he can be with that tour card, because what nobody wants to see is 2 years of Mervyn King throwing 79 averages. That's not what anybody wants to see. If Mervyn King's got a card, then we want to see him playing like Mervyn King. And I suppose the question is how much of the old Mervyn King can he dig back out and bring to the table on the regular?
Yeah, I agree. And financially as well, there are some of these players that can earn good money in other areas of darts. Now, I understand that everyone wants to be on that Pro Tour and be in that environment. I understand that. But ultimately, it is a job. You're there to make money and provide. And I'm interested to see how many of them, after their 2 years, one, keep their card, and two, the money they make from it. Because we've seen a lot of these play in the Super Series. We've seen a lot of these rock up at ADCs and WDF and everything like that. So in 2 years' time, it will be interesting to see the financial comparisons between it as well. Because as you've said there, that if they just turn up and get smashed, lose their card after 2 years with a whimper, would it have been better going down those other avenues? And I think that's something that we'll see in the coming years, that people will go, hang on a minute, is it the be-all and end-all being on tour?
Well, this
Is this what I want?
That's the thing, isn't it? Because there's a really positive way of looking at it. If you're a dead positive person, you can say, right, these guys have all won tour cards, and they're all going to go on the pro tour, and it's their chance to earn all the money you could have ever dreamt of. But at the same time, a lot of them have just had a lot of potential income turned off because they can't go and play Modus, and they can't play ADC, and they can't play WDF, and all the things that's been keeping these lads ticking over. These guys that have just come through Q School, you know, what's been ticking them over is all now turned off to them, and their income is, you know, whatever they can do, granted with the exhibition scene, and I know some of them are really proactive in that, but now you've got to play the best players in the world to pick up your supper. And
Correct.
Some of these lads have been picking up money for... It'd be interesting, and we've talked a lot about, we talked loads yesterday about Derek Coulson, because we like Derek Coulson and he come really, really close. I would be very interested to see in 12 months' time where Derek Coulson's annual income prize money from darts is compared with some of these guys that have picked up a tour card. Because I'm going to tell you now, he'll have earned more money than some of these lads are going to earn. Because he's got more places he can earn it. Half of these lads aren't going to be beating him in those tournaments as well. So there's a few of those draws are going to open up. But yeah, I think it's but it's the chance of a lifetime, isn't it? It's the golden ticket. It's your chance to be on tour and play against Luke Littler and Luke Humphreys and Gezi Price and Michael Van Gerwen, and you're gonna be playing darts with those people, and that's the company you will now keep. But it's very hard. It's very hard to win against those players. And yeah, some of them have been carving out quite a little comfortable living from what they've been doing. And they might find it a little bit harder than it was in the last couple of years, you know, when they look at the bank balance at the end of the month, some of them.
Well, you think Charlie Manby, didn't he earn in and around £80,000 last year without a tour card? Now, will Charlie Manby earn £80,000 this year with a tour card? That is certainly the question, and the jury is out.
62.5 in just pro, like, if you like, pro tour and TV events. And then obviously whatever
he's winning the Super Series.
I was going to say that plus whatever he's picked up on the other tours and the Super Series on top of that. So yeah, he's probably over 80.
Yeah, because he won 25 grand at the Super Series when he won Series 12, I think.
But he's done 62 on the Pro Tour and at the World Championships. So he's probably closer to 100 last year.
Correct.
And but then if you look at this year, and you know, in year one of a tour, because you think, and I know people will go like, yeah, like he'll do over 100. There are two players who won a tour card last year that have earned over 100 grand this year.
Nico
Springer and Justin Hood. And we know what Justin Hood had to do to get that money. That wasn't a solid year on tour. Let's be really honest. That wasn't a brilliant year of consistency on the Pro Tour. That was like one outrageous run at the World Championships. Nico Springer slightly different. He's had a really good first year on tour. He's picked up some really good money in the Euro Tour, got to the Grand Slam, got to the Grand Prix, played in the European Championship. So like he managed to get himself into a lot of those TV events. But there's only two players that have done it this year. So I think it's a real stretch for anyone to say like, yeah, they can, they can do, there's two ways of doing it. And those two have really shown you the two different ways. One is to be consistent all year round, play well, qualify for things. And even if you don't go deep in those things, just keep qualifying for them and keep getting there. And the other one is to do what Justin Hood did and earn 30 odd grand through the course of the year and then go bonkers at Alexandra Palace, qualify and go there. But again, that's not you can't back yourself to do that. These things aren't everyday occurrences. This isn't the norm. It's not what most tour card holders do. Most tour card holders don't get anywhere near earning 100 grand in year one. They just don't most year. Some of the very special ones do.
Yeah.
But when you look at players that have had a good year, we would say, Cam Crabtree's had a good year. Wesley Placea's had a good year. Seb Bielski has had a good year. They're earning mid 60s, 70 grand year one. We think they've had a really good year.
A couple of questions on that. Yeah, Johnny, that does include his world's money. But again, he can still play the Dev Tour. So I would even if Charlie hadn't won a card, I would have expected him to get to the world through the Dev Tour again, personally. But also, Jimmy makes a good point here as well. Obviously, now he is on tour. He probably is going to bring more in sponsorship and so on. So
yeah, there's there is that. Like there is that. But again, it's at this stage, year one of your pro tour, like Justin Hood, Nico Springer, year two with their tour card, having done what they've done, they'll go and get some sponsors because they're going to be playing in every telly event. They're going to be on the telly a lot. These lads who've just won a tour card there, when are we going to see them on telly? Realistically, well, you'll see them at the UK Open, but you might not see them on the telly because they might be
four day or whatever, unless they get.
They're playing a televised. They're playing a televised tournament, but you might not see them on the telly. You might not see them again on the telly this year. They might be on a stream board here and there. So it's there won't be a flock of sponsors running because their brand, their image, their badge, it's not going to be on Sky Sports, on an ITV. It may be. It's possible.
But no guarantee.
But I think what you'll find is like players like Nico Springer and Justin Hood, is once they've got there, that's when the sponsors will come in. That's when the sponsors will come in because they know that you're going to be at the match play and you're going to be at this and you're going to be at the Grand Prix and you're going to be at the European Championships and you're going to be there. But it will be better than without.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to seeing Jimmy Van Schie because he missed. Well, let's be fair, he fucked it up last year. He got to the final on day one and ended up not getting a card. So I'm pleased to see him get his card, and I'm interested to see where he is on tour because again, we know Jimmy has a ridiculously high level. We've seen that at Modus, we've seen that at the WDF. He has picked up the two biggest titles, or certainly two of the biggest titles. He hasn't won the Global, but he's won a series at Modus and he's won Lakeside. He has won everything outside the PDC. So I'm interested to see and measuring it up where he is in relation, his game-wise, to that.
Well, we did see glimpses of him last year, didn't we, on the Pro Tour? He played in Hildesheim, got to made a quarter-final. He certainly went and competed well. I expect him to do perfectly well. I think he'll keep his card. I think he'll play well enough to do that. Do I think he's going to kick on and blast through the Order of Merit? TBC. Yeah, possible, but I don't know. He's going to have to prove. He's going to have to prove it. He is still very unproven. Like, to sustain things in the PDC. We've seen glimpses of him, and that's it on Players Championship events, and that's about all we've seen.
Yeah. Also, as well, new tour card holders. We can't talk about it without saying I think the whole darting world is looking forward to seeing Bo as well.
I mean, we've been focusing on Q School a little bit, but yeah, I mean that's without a doubt the most exciting card that's been awarded is to Bo Greaves, surely, like that, because again, that is she is the player, that is the card that where I talked a minute ago about players that can possibly earn over 100 grand in year one. Well, if I had to put my 50 pence on any new tour card holder earning over 100 grand in year one, that's where my 50 pence would go. It would be on to Bo Greaves. I'd say she is the most likely of all the new tour card holders to pick up over 100 grand in year one, because she has, we know for certain, there's no question marks at all. No question marks at all over her game. It will be tremendous all year.
No, I don't disagree. Sarah, Bo can play in the women's series until she gets in the top 64 in the world. Once she's into the top 64, then she cannot, I believe. So that is the interesting one about that one. I'll tell you what, as if by good timing, as we're talking about Q School, our guest has arrived, and we're just going to do something a bit jazzy.
We've got a jingle, Philip. A new jingle.
Dan likes this. He tested me and said, "Can we come up with something?"
I want more jingles.
How about this?
Hey!
And it is time for our guest, the one and only, Mr. Niall Culleton has joined us. Off of getting his tour card. Niall, first of all, huge congratulations. Has it sunk in yet?
It's starting to sink in all right now, yeah. It's getting there. I don't think until the first event comes up it'll really sink in, but yeah, it is starting to sink in.
What was it like, the moment that you knew it was done? What was that moment like?
In fairness, it was relief because, as you know yourself, I've been trying a good while now, and I always kind of thought back to the time when I could have bet Leonard Gates to get the tour card. But I think it's time to give this a go now. The way I'm playing at the minute, I'm very happy how I'm playing, and just looking forward to this now.
Look, you're someone that has rebuilt their game from scratch in terms of everything. In terms of the way you were, lost a truckload of weight, rebuilt the throw, the stance, everything. How good does that feel that is now paying dividend?
Yeah, I'm getting a reward for the effort I put into it. I just said I lost a lot of weight. I rebuilt everything. I changed my darts after Q School last year. I changed to a different shape altogether. I went back to a standard fighting stem. I went back to a standard length of points. I done work on my throw. I had a coach involved there, Daniel Culleton. He was helping me a lot then with my throw as well. And it was basically, there was times when I was throwing where I'd be throwing well for a couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden it would just go on me and I'd be like wondering, where's it gone? And what he done was he helped me figure out where it went. I had a basis to go off of basically to get it back. And then from there it was just building on it and building on it. I knew every time I was playing, I was getting better and better. So as I was going along then, it was just getting confidence in me throw. And what that was helping me with was if I was in nervy situations in a game, I just have to go back to basics in me throw and in me head, and I could rely on it.
We've seen a lot of players lose weight and be healthier. Is that a massive thing in the sport now? Because I remember you were like a massive advocate of this when you were playing at the Super Series, these long days in the Pro Tour. Is that something that needs to happen full stop?
Definitely. I think looking after your body is a big thing because the days are long for the events that are on, especially at Q School, and especially when challenge tours, when you have 2 events on a day. You know what I mean? As regards darts and the way I prepared, I changed my lifestyle for it in what I was doing with preparation. You know what I mean? I'm there and I have me few minerals when I'm throwing. And I just get into it, you know what I mean? I just, once I'm right in my head, I'm prepared for the darts that I'm going showing, you know what I mean? And once I'm on the practice board and I'm feeling comfortable, that's when I know it, right, you're ready to go. You know what I mean? There was a lot. I remember the first time I'd lost all the weight, and Glenn Durant was doing comms on Modus. And he says to me, yeah, you have to lose a lot of weight, but I know your balance is off. So the big thing I done then was work on my balance and that, to get myself ready for that. And then since then, I just built on it. But as regards, you need, look, you only get one body and you need to look after it. And darts can be cruel as regards the lifestyle along with it as well. So you need to look after it if you need to get something back out of it, I think.
Dan?
I think so. One thing I noticed there, Niall, is you referenced a few times and you mentioned different people. Either different people that had spotted something, or the different people who had noticed something in either the way you were playing, the way you were throwing, the way you were stood. How important is that to be the type of person? And would you not have got this tour card if you weren't the sort of person that could take that on? Because a lot of people wouldn't listen to that. There's loads of people that wouldn't sit and listen and then take it seriously and go and actually put the work in and value what people are trying to offer them.
Yeah, because Phil Taylor said it for years. He was always looking for that extra 1%, and that's the approach I was taking. Any help that I could take or advice I take on, I try to implement it. You know what I mean? If people are giving you advice, they're doing it for your own good. You know what I mean? So it's up to you whether to take it on or not. I know there's a lot of players that would be too self-proud to listen to other people in that, and they think, right, what I'm doing is right, and I'll figure it out myself and all that. Just look, each player is different. I found something that worked for me, and I believe it has worked. So every player is different. But what I found is taking on the advice. We've worked with during the year. I worked with a coach for me throw on that. And it wasn't anything hectic, to be fair, because it was really just 2 or 3 good sessions, because everything was there. It was just to actually put it all in the line and just have it right. Also worked with sports psychologists really early in the year. And that was really just a mindset thing in the game, because in darts, your worst enemy is your head in the game, you know what I mean? They're going for a double and there's something stupid come into your head or that, and it's learning how to deal with that and everything as well. So just with them things lining up, it worked for me, and I am at reaping the benefits of it.
I think it's fascinating. Like we've talked loads on this show, and we've talked with loads of different guests that have came on about like coaching within darts, and we're seeing more and more of it as the younger players are coming through, and there's more academy structure. We're seeing lots of people coaching, but I genuinely think it's brilliant that I suppose the willingness that you've had, in terms of every element of it, whether it's mindset, whether it's the way your brain, your mental side of things is working, whether it's physical, whether it's technique. I think it's brilliant to be able to accept all of that and then take it and take what you need and disregard, because it's not all brilliant. Some of it, you've got to then filter it, haven't you, and work out which works for you.
What works, because I had
a long process.
Yeah, because I had a period where my darts weren't good when I was going through the process of what I was doing, because I remember it was actually the last time I was on the Super Series. I think I was in for the Thursday and the Friday. It was the week that Sam Spivey won, and my throw was so slow. But what I was doing in my head was I was going through the motions of my throw. And it was really slow because it's like as if I was trying to relearn my muscle memory as I was doing it. So the more I done it, the more it happened. And then as it came back to me then properly and I felt comfortable, then the quicker throw came back and the more fluidness came back into the throw. And then it kicked on from there. So it was kind of a process of basically getting the arm to remember what to do. And then when that got going and comfortable, then I was able to throw my dart the way I'm supposed to be thrown, because I find I'm a rhythm thrower when I get going in the flow, and it was getting to that stage where I felt comfortable where I could implement what I was after taking on, and so when that clicked, then it just built on from there,
So getting back to this shiny new tour card that you've got now, and you're going to be able to put it to good use, I'm sure. But what you know a lot about your own game. You know where you're at. You know what you can get to. You know what's realistic. What does a good? Because we've been talking loads, and we'll continue to talk about everyone with a new tour card and what we think they could do in their first year, and what if you sat here in a year's time, what's a really good, realistic first year on tour this year? What does this year look like, and what would you sit here next year and say, yeah, that's about where I wanted to be. That's where I thought I'd get to.
Realistically, look, it's going to be the first time on it, so it's all going to be a new experience to me when I'm on the tour. I know how vast the level is across the tour, and how everyone's kind of, there's not a thing where like you do have your Litters, your MVGs, your Humphreys at the top, and then you have your other players that are down there as well. But everyone's able to throw a dart, you know what I mean? So realistically, I want to get in. I want to qualify the best for European tours if I can. I want to get into whatever I can during the year. Getting in the top 64 in my first year would be nice. And then anything after that would be a bonus. I know if I can throw me darts and I get in and just do what I have to do, it will turn good for me during the year, you know what I mean? So what I want to do for the first year is just take it on board and to see where it takes, because I actually want to see where this will push me now, because it was the same when I used to play rugby when I was coming up through the different levels, and I was playing with Leinster for a time as well. Every time I went up a level with the sport, my game came up a level, you know. So, and I've noticed that with darts, every time I've come up a level, when my head was right, I've come up a level as well. So we're going forward for the Pro Tours and everything then as well. I want to see what I can do, because I know what game I have in me.
Yeah.
I want to show it. I know I have a good game in me, and I can compete against the best of them. What I want to do now is have that consistency where I'm going into a game and I compete in every game. You know what I mean? I'm not going in, I'm drawing someone and thinking, oh, I'm going in here to get better or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm going in with a positive mindset. Oh, right, Grant, you have the tools to do it. You know you're able to do it. You've shown you've done it. Now is the time to prove it. You know what I mean? Just get up there and throw your darts and see where it takes me.
On the darts, are you happy with the equipment now? Because I remember we've seen you chop and change barrels. We've seen you throw with 3 different colour barrels at the same time. Are you happy?
The thing is, they were all the same barrel. All them barrels, I had the gold ones, the blue ones, the silver ones, the black ones. They were all the exact same dart. You know what I mean? When I was on the Super Series playing on it, I used to love doing something different, or just it was always something interesting for the lads in the commentary to talking about, because look, you want to keep it entertaining as well, but doing just throwing their darts as well. So, but the big thing with me was when I changed from them darts to the ones I'm throwing now, because the ones I'm throwing now are very similar to the Unicorn Sigma dart. You know, they're a bit more of a bulbous dart. So I've kind of done what Taylor done, went from a straight barrel to a kind of a more bulbous barrel. But I found when I was throwing the straight barrel, it wasn't comfortable in my hand, it was slipping in my hand, and I couldn't get a grip of it properly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just went along one day and I had a set of the Unicorn Sigmas at home. And I said, right, my one dart is not comfortable. I think I need a thicker barrel. I picked up I wouldn't mind. I had these darts for 8 years because I'm a bit of a collector with darts as well. And I picked them up and I threw them, and they just felt like a glove. I went in the first night I played with them. I hadn't even thrown them before I went down to the tournament, and I won. I was going in and they were scoring and I was finishing and everything just felt very comfortable. So I said, right, there's something in this for me, you know. So, and I've stuck with them. When I was throwing, the last time I was throwing the straight barrels, I was actually throwing a 50mm point. And for a small time, they were going okay. But for a lot of the time, they weren't. So basically, I stripped myself back to basics, back to a short point, a standard stem, a standard flight, and just went with that. And everything felt good. Everything felt right in my hand, and I've stayed with that. I still change the colour of my barrel every now and again, but it's always going to be the same ones, you know. So the equipment is very, very comfortable at the minute. I can trust it. I've shown I can trust it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have got my tour card if I didn't feel comfortable with what I was throwing with, you know. So yeah, everything feels brilliant at the minute.
Some little quirky ones. What's the Niall Culleton walk-on song when you get on TV?
Take On Me.
Love it.
Like that?
Yeah.
Classics.
Yeah.
Classics. We like that.
Bit of a crowd teaser, I think, is getting going.
Yeah. Derry, whereabouts in Ireland are you from now?
In County Kilkenny.
There you go, everyone.
Yeah.
Irish darts is in a really good place right now. Is this the best the Irish darts has ever been?
I'd say Irish darts has always been there. You know what I mean? You go back to your time with Connie Finnans, Mick McGowns and all that. It's always been there. You know what I mean? It's getting the players out and actually getting over to England and actually showing what they can do. So I think what's happening now is there's more and more going over. You have a lot more youths playing now, and there's a lot of youths in Ireland that I've seen thrown where I'm looking at myself thinking, in a few years' time, I'm going to be at nothing throwing darts because these lads fear nothing, and they're young lads going in there 11 and 12, and they don't care that they're playing anyone. You know what I mean? And they're throwing in savage darts, and it's just, in fairness, there's a lot more Irish darts players now that I think are going to be on the scene. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, Stephen didn't come off the tour this year. But we've 3 more going on now, myself, Finn, and Stephen Rosny going on as well. So we're going to be a strong showing, you know what I mean?
100%. Very, very strong.
As long as you've got more going on than coming off, things are in the right direction, aren't they?
Things in the right direction, yeah. The one thing we do need to do is we need to get back to Grand Prix in Dublin. We need to get our Irish qualifier back for the World Championships as well, because with that gone, that was a big opportunity for a lot of Irish players to get into the World Championships, and we haven't got our qualifier anymore, you know. And why we don't have it, I don't know. I know there's a lot of us there and that, but
frustrating with the expansion as well. You know, when we've seen the world, you know, when we see the World Championships grow and more players coming from more and more routes, that I think would have been almost a very easy and comfortable time to bring it back, wouldn't it? Because we know we need all these extra players.
Definitely, yeah. Because if you go back to the early days of the PDC, they were coming over to Ireland to play the Players' Championships. You know, so I definitely think there should be something coming back where at least get our qualifier back, because that was always a big thing over here. Playing the Tom Kirby and then playing the final at the Grand Prix for the qualifier for the Worlds, you know. So it was ever since the Grand Prix went, the qualifier went. But where it's going to go from that, I don't know. But we definitely should have more over here, I think.
Well, Dylan makes an excellent point in the chat room, and I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be having a Euro Tour event there.
100%. We've enough players over here to qualify. You know what I mean?
I think a Euro Tour event, especially when you've lost, as a nation, you've lost a big event as a nation. That's not there anymore. It's held in the boring grey town in England. A Euro Tour event would fit perfectly. I think it's sort of the least that you deserve, if you like, as a country of darts players, isn't it?
Yeah, because I remember, I think it was Matt Porter was going on about it before, and I think Phil was actually having the interview with Matt, and he was on about it, and Matt's answer was, give us a venue for it. You know what I mean? He thinks there's no venues over here. Killarney, where they used to play Players' Championships down in Kerry, that is a massive venue. That's where the WDF Irish Open is on. And I can't see why they couldn't run it down there, because I think it's actually probably as big as City West. You know what I mean? They have the capacity to take people down there for hotels and everything. They have the room to put on shows, because there's always music on down there. There's always big shows on down there, So why there's loads of places they could put it on. I can't see why they can't do it.
Let's be honest as well. You'd sell it out, wouldn't you?
100%.
It'd be sold out. You wouldn't even have to list who was playing it. It'd sell out straight away.
100%. You see the Premier League whenever it's in Dublin, and it's probably the most look forward to event on the Premier League calendar. You know what I mean? So why they'd sell it out, definitely.
Oh, 100. Look, Dublin's my favourite Premier League by an absolute mile. It is incredible. You mentioned Tom Kirby as well. Now, this is something that I love. Is there any signs of the Tom Kirby ever coming back?
I'm not sure. See, that used to be a thing on in Waterford, down in Tramore and O'Shea's, and you had your 3 weekends over the year, and one of the events then was the Tom Kirby. I think they were trying to get it back. I think they were trying to get it involved with the Irish Open in Killarney that was beyond in November or something. There was something going on anyway, and I don't know what happened with it. But it had easily come back if it was going to be the qualifier for the World, like it always was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd like it. And again, Anthony, one of our, well, I'm going to say it. he's one of our team because we love having
He's a
him
member
on.
of the team.
And he says, again, the Irish Darts plays an integrated core of darts in New York and that as well, which is great. We've been to a couple of really good places in New York. It's just so good. And look, I'm so pleased to see that you finally achieved it, because we've seen you get so close and then go wrong, and just to be there now, it's a pleasure. And thank you for coming on as well, mate.
Appreciate that.
We massively appreciate it, and we can't wait to see your first Pro Tour, to see how that goes, and we'll be keeping a keen eye on the stream as always, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, one, the only, the werewolf, it is Mr. Niall Culleton. Thank you very much, buddy.
Cheers, lads. Thanks very much. Cheers.
I love that. That was great.
Another good guest. Another good. Yeah, he's a top bloke, and it's. These are the sort of players that I always really enjoy seeing get a tour card. You know, there's loads of different routes to a tour card, and we can say how deserved they are. And you know, when they come through the Dev Tour and the Challenge Tour, but for people that know Niall, and he's, you know, he's a sort of, he follows the show, he checks in with us quite a bit and he's in the chat room sometimes, and he has worked on absolutely every single element, everything that could possibly go in to throwing a dart at a dartboard. Niall's like dissected it and worked on it, like everything to do with his own physical state, his mental state, everything to do with his technique, his balance, how he stood, how he throws, how he releases the dart, what his grip is. Then every element of the equipment has been tested and analysed, and he is the sum now. And I think this run through Q School is the sum of all of that work and analysis and reflection. And I genuinely think, and I mentioned it because I think it's worth commending, like there are darts and dart players who are very good are among, as you know, Phil, they are among a collection of the most stubborn human beings on planet Earth. They are unbelievably stubborn generally as a populace. And I think when somebody like Niall can be, you know, humble enough, open-minded enough to be able to listen to what other people have to say, take it on board, think about it, strip away what isn't important, but then take those little key bits. Glenn talking about his balance, somebody else talking about the way that he's releasing it, something, you know, just being able to take that and then work on it and develop it. I think it's a really, really commendable just trait for a human being. So I think it's really impressive what he's done. And
yeah, I agree.
If he can continue, if he can, as he thinks, you know, if he can bring his level up towards or up with the level of competition, then it'd be great to see what he can do, you know, having a couple of years on tour consistently.
Yeah, 100%. There's lots of chat in the chat room. So let's clear up the Gary situation. Now, the condition that Matt was talking about came from an interview that I did with him pre-World Championship in Edinburgh. And I said, and my exact words were to him, the fans want it. Would you play the Premier League if it went back to the old format? And he still said no. His condition was, the only way I would play the Premier League again is if it was every other week, i.e. the two league ideas where it wasn't every week. That was what he said, that's the only way that he would go back to doing it. So I'm guessing the PDC have just listened to him and gone, we're not even going to ask because we know it's, and no. And part of me thinks that's the thing as well, because as Gary said, he wanted to turn it down. He wanted to publicly go, no. If you're the organizer and the player, you do not want number 6 in the world going, no.
You don't want to be shunned.
Correct.
No one's ever turned it down before. And you want to be able to
They
keep
don't want
saying
to
that.
start turning it down.
Yeah, you want to be able to keep saying no one's ever said no to this. You would
Correct.
never say no. How could you say no to this?
Yeah.
The best thing in darts.
No, Matt, Brad, I can guarantee I spoke to Gary personally and his management team, and they were not categorically, they were not asked. And I asked, can I make that public knowledge on our show? And the answer was yes.
We're going to have to invite Edgar on at this rate, aren't we? We're going to have to invite Edgar on for a clarification chat.
And there he is in the chat room as well.
There he is.
Our pleasure,
Thank you,
Niall.
mate.
It was so good. But you said since the Premier League lineup had been announced. Yeah, so I spoke to his management team after the announcement had been done. And I said, and his management team clarified, I asked them, have you been asked? Were you asked? And they said no. So
it sounds like more guests, this, Phil. Sounds like more guests.
Well, we're teeing it up nicely here, aren't we?
We're working on it. We're working towards more guests, I think, in future weeks. You did a great job tonight, though.
Yeah, Niall was an incredible guest to have on. Darts returns, though. There is no rest for the wicked. We have 2 World Series events to look forward to. Bahrain and the first time in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The lineup was announced. One, I'm actually very, very pleased they haven't just picked the Premier League lineup.
Well, you had to throw someone a bone, didn't you?
I like the lineup.
I don't.
Do you not?
Well, no, because it's still missing James Wade. It should have been in the Premier League, and if you're going to not put someone in the Premier League, and then you're going to put people that might feel aggrieved that they were left out of the Premier League in a World Series event, then I still think that James Wade should be along. But I'll sit on my own in that camp if I have to. But no, in like that aside, like very pleased to see Danny Noppert get that opportunity because again, I think what he misses out on in the Premier League, it's not just the prestige, it's not just the extra sponsors. Like, let's be brutal, it's cold hard cash. Like, it's a big exhibition and you can pick up some serious money on the Premier League. And that's what some of these players that have missed out. They've missed out on some serious coin. Nathan Aspinall normally picks up some serious coin every year in the Premier League. So the idea that they're getting a bit of an opportunity to, take part in a little bit of that extra bonus cash that's floating around at the very top end of the game, then I think, I think that's a good thing. I think it's good. Nice to see Danny Noppert get there.
Yeah, I'm pleased that Noppert's
interesting as well because of the way that it works and the way the seedings are done is that Danny Noppert isn't in the Premier League, but when he plays a World Series event, you have to seed him 6th. That's quite funny because he's like, you have to seed him 6th in a World Series event, probably because he deserves to be in the Premier League.
Especially for Saudi Arabia, I like the Asian representatives as well. I think it is very, very strong.
I think it's as strong as we've ever seen. If I'm honest, again, definitely more so Saudi Arabia than Bahrain. I don't think the field is as strong. I think it's as strong as we've seen in that part of the world. I know we haven't seen Saudi Arabia before. We tend to see that we've seen Bahrain, but it's as strong as we've seen from that part of the world. I think it's really solid. And I would not be surprised to see more than one of the Asian representatives come through it. They'll come through the first round. Genuinely wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I like it. I like that Paul Lim's got in for that. It's done off the Asian Sword of Merit, but for nostalgia reasons as well. Some of the stories from the World Championship can continue with Sakai and his crazy walk on.
I still have the hope, don't I? I wanted Luke Littler against Paul Lim. And I nearly got it at the World Championships. They gave it just I was like 1 seed away. That's all it was. I was 1 seed away, and I just got the other Luke. But there's still hope for me. There's still hope for me to see. In fact, there's 2 chances because Paul Lim's in both. So there is still hope of us seeing Luke Littler against Paul Lim. That is a proper, like, who thought you'd see that? I didn't, and that's why I want to.
Yeah, I like it. The only thing with World Series events in January, do we, I say we, I'm not talking about just you and me because we love it, but does the sport actually need a designated break, an off season, and so on?
I'm going to say no, because of the type of events that they are. So everybody else is getting essentially January off, barring 8 players. And they are, let's be honest, the highest earners, or a collection of the highest earners and wealthiest dart players in the world. If they want to take a break at any point in the year, it is within their gift to do so. They are not mandatory, other than the Premier League, for those that are picked. I think there's probably a contract there where they have to show up. They are not mandated to attend anything. They can have a week off in July if they want. They won't want to, because there's money to be won. But they can manage their diaries in terms of how many Pro Tour events they decide to play, how many Euro tours they decide to go to. Like, they have earned the right to do so. They don't have to. Anyone can have time off darts whenever they want. I think most of the tour gets January off. Like, they're all off at the minute, aren't they? They've all got a few weeks off at the minute where there's nothing going on. Not all of them will come back at the end of the month. A lot of them will have their feet up until that first Pro Tour event.
Well, Masters qualifier first, isn't it? That'll be the...
Yeah. But it's, and let's be honest, a lot of the vast majority of them weren't playing the back end of the World Championships either. So they've had a month. The lad, some of them went out after game 1 of the Worlds. Some of them didn't play in the Worlds. Like, I think it's fine. Again, because, so who are we going to look at that's overworked? Well, Luke Littler, Luke Humphreys, Jan van Veen, Michael van Gerwen, Stephen Bunting, they're the overworked lads. Well, I don't know, be off. Don't go to Germany. Don't go to Barnsley. Don't go to Milton Keynes. Who'd want to? But, they can have time off whenever they want, can't they?
Yeah, they can. Agreed. Look, let's be fair. We've seen players miss Bahrain, and it was Bahrain and Holland, wasn't it? I think the law of Saudi and the potential of Saudi Arabia, none of them are going to miss this one.
No, you're not going to miss Saudi Arabia because you never know what might come next, do you? You never know what might get. You never know what might get changed. You never know what might get thrown. You might turn up and all of a sudden there's a gold bullseye in there, and you think, "Whoa, hang on, what's going on here? What have I got myself into?" Yeah, nobody's going to miss that. If you're offered Saudi, you're going. I don't know. Maybe. Do you think Gary would have gone to Saudi if he'd have been offered? There's a question. Would Gary Anderson have gone to Saudi Arabia?
I know the answer.
World Series.
I know the answer.
Really?
Yeah, I asked him.
What if he didn't have to go to Bahrain and he could just fly in and out of Saudi?
Still He'd have done both.
He'd have what?
He'd have done both.
Good on him. Yeah. Good on him.
And he wasn't asked either.
Because you'd be loopy. Yeah. Tell you what, because if you choose to not go there, you are a very bad businessman. You've been badly advised. You need a new accountant.
Correct. No, he wasn't asked for the World Series either, which I get, but also find it that why you wouldn't ask the world number 6?
I genuinely believe that it's being used as a little pat on the head of the players that felt aggrieved and care that they're not in the Premier League. Danny Noppert, his social media posts were brilliant. He's done a good job of it, but he must sit at home on his practice board and think, oh, the fuckers. Like, those bastards. Like, I could have been there. I should have been there. And Nathan will feel like he's part of the furniture, and he is almost part of the Premier League furniture at the minute. And like that's a big miss for him this year, not being in it. So yeah, I understand taking the opportunity to throw a bone to those two players. And if you're going to chuck a bone, then Gary's not the obvious recipient of that.
I don't know. I agree. Well, we haven't had any information yet. Chat room, get involved as well. Are you expecting a gimmick in Saudi Arabia, like the golden ball in snooker and so on? Are we expecting something, or for a 9 darter, or do we think we're going to get something big?
Would we not know about it already if we were?
Or are they just going to? Or are they just going to drop it on us last minute as a "here you go, everyone"?
I mean, that would be cool. I mean, it's plausible. It is plausible, but I don't know if we'll see it this time around. I think my gut is that this will be almost like a sort of test event. Like, I think that's almost a test event to see if everything goes okay. There's a few options, because we talked about this quite a lot before. Like, and what you can't do is you can't change too much from the game of darts. Like, you just can't. You've got to. So therefore, there's only a finite amount of things that you can do. One of the things, they like to do something gold, right? And they like to something. I like. So an idea that I'm not going to claim it, but I heard it floated, and I would credit who said it if I could remember. So someone in the chat room owns up to it, and it's fine. Of a golden dart, right? That was, let's pick a figure, nice round big figure, 50 grand, 100 grand, whatever it is, where a player can nominate in a match a time to throw their golden dart. It's just one of their darts with a golden flight on the back or something, golden back end. And at a double. And if they hit the double with that goal, they get 1 per match to throw. So you could have, because you could have a situation where Luke Littler throws 2 treble 20s on his 170, elects to throw his golden dart, pins the ball, and wins 100 grand. Like that golden, having your golden dart to play, you get that one dart at double. That's something a bit Saudi. There's other things, like, I think everything else that, is a bit too far away from darts. Like, when I've seen people talk about, power plays, power legs, other different bits. The problem is, when you're playing such a short format, it's very difficult to factor a power play. Now, if you're playing first to 6, where the hell do you fit a power play into that? So then you can look at, I've seen people do a theory around maybe a golden leg, where you've got the gold leg activated, and whoever wins that leg gets a 20 grand bonus or something like that. But the only one that I've seen that I've actually thought was manageable in a game, in a realistic format, was the idea of, nominating activating your golden dart at a double. And if that one goes in, you get your bonus or whatever.
I like the idea of the golden bullseye, where you have a golden ball within the ball. Now, I'm going off the snooker one here, that the golden ball only comes into play if a 147's on. The golden ball only comes into play if you hit a 9, you get 1 dart at the golden ball.
I like the idea. I do like the idea. However, and this is just this is a boring practical thing, right? It's a small round target anyway. If you put another small round piece of metal wire inside that, is what we're actually going to see loads of bounce outs on bullseyes. And that we're going to get, if we do a golden bull, what's actually going to happen is every 170 attempt is going to be ruined by a bounce out on the bull, because it's just going to bounce off the gun. That's the risk, in my opinion. That's the risk, is that it's such a small area anyway. If you then put another wire inside there, my concern would be you would ruin every possible 170 by bouncing out on that wire all the time, and things not quite going to plan. And that's why, and that's the other thing, is manufacturing 1 board, 2 board, 10 boards is troublesome. As we know, there's some of these, for some manufacturers, manufacturing any boards can be challenging at times. But this is why we've seen very limited returns of boards that look a bit different. We've seen the quad board come back. We didn't see it stick around. Very limited runs, hard to get hold of. We never see a Yorkshire board anymore. It's manufacturing a different board, especially I think doing something as intricate as that. Because again, don't forget, the PDC are tied to a board supplier. They can't go and shop around the market and see who could do it. They've only got one board manufacturer that's in contract. I like the idea. I genuinely like the idea. I'm just being really boring and practical. And I think it's got lots of challenges.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one, and I hope we get something. Like I say, I'm not sure what will be or whatever. I believe there is something happening in Saudi on the Sunday, like an opening.
Set the surround on fire. I love that. I like it. Just anything. Just put a Catherine wheel around the outside of the surround. Just have that firing off. Oh God! Ladder match. Yeah. They've got a ladder sponsor, haven't they? They could just have the lads lashing them off step ladders or something. But yeah, again, the concern is coming. The idea behind that, that golden ball in snooker is it doesn't take away from what is a normal game of snooker. You have your normal game of snooker, and then there is something that then elevates it beyond that. And I think a lot of the gimmicks that I've heard proposed would detract away from a game of darts. But I do quite like the idea of choosing when to play your golden dart.
Yeah, look, there's no right or wrong. We're just floating ideas around. But
there's some dross in the chat room as well, by the way. Some absolute dross. Some collections of the crappiest ideas. I mean, there's some good stuff in there, but there's some dross as well.
Oh, it could go well over the top, like gimmicky and
some people think 4 darts, some people think 2 darts. You give Luke Littler 2 darts half the time. It wouldn't even just make the game relatively competitive.
Mardle blowing the dart.
Yeah. I don't know if you get all 8 of them at it though. I mean, let's be honest, mate. Some of the Bahrain qualifiers, these lads struggle to pour a dart in the board out their hand. Never mind trying to project it from a different part of their body. Christ.
But look, the World Series does return. I know we're laughing and joking, but the World Series does return, and look, I like the World Series, and I'm interested to see the picks for the other events going forward as well. And I hope we get similar, that we're not just going to get the Premier League.
Well, we've got a nice gap, haven't we? So we've got these 2 events, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, and then we haven't got another World Series event until early June. Now that allows you to get through the cycle of the Premier League. So those Premier League players that have stunk it out perhaps might not find themselves invited to the next event. They might not find themselves in Copenhagen for the Nordic Darts Masters, and in the same time, we might have seen some players come through. We've got some big TV tournaments between now and then. We've got the Masters coming up. We've got the UK Open. We've got proper big darts events. So there are players that could come to the fore. I would expect probably by then to see Josh Rock there, because he hasn't gone to the first 2. He'll have had a Premier League campaign behind him by then. So I would expect to see Josh Rock in Copenhagen. I would expect to see Josh Rock in June because, as Anthony says and mentioned a little bit earlier in the chat room, if you want to get the crowd excited in New York, the darts crowd, then maybe bringing an Irish elite player over might stir a bit of excitement in the old expatriates over in New York City. So I think that we'll definitely see Josh Rock come into that mix come Copenhagen and New York. And beyond that, Australia and New Zealand, again, can be a bit of a lottery because some won't want to go.
Well, we know some aren't going because they
exactly.
that
could be a right rogues gallery by then. Maybe that's the time at which they'll ask James Wade. Let's see.
Well, to be fair, he has got a chance because Humphreys and Littler aren't going. I would be amazed if MVG went. Aspinall's getting married. All of a sudden, there's 4 huge contenders not going. So it's an interesting one from that. But look, the World Series does return. Looking forward to it. I will be live on Thursday for the Bahrain opening session. Here, the office should be done by then, which is good. But look, all eyes now to the new season. We know the class. We know who's on the new season. First step, that World Masters for some of these new tour card holders could be absolutely huge because it's a potential shot at some early free ranking money.
Yeah, and well, you're quite right in that it's free because nobody's defending anything. Everything they earn is straight on the ranking. And we've talked about how hard it is to hold a tour card, and it's so much easier when you've got money in the bank and to be looking than to be up against it and thinking constantly, oh shit, I'm gonna have to go deep here, especially when you aren't an elite player. It's hard enough for the top in the world when when the pressure's on and they have to win. So yeah, it's a real opportunity. Obviously, now that that's a ranked event, that means we've got to have a qualifier. I think it's a real good opportunity. And some of them will be quite seasoned.
Yeah. It's not a qualifier. It's
a preliminary round, isn't it? It's the it's a qualifier, isn't it? Yes, I know it's a preliminary round, but like just so you know, the preliminary round losers get 750 quid. It's a fucking qualifier. Like, it's not. I'm not having that. Like, if you're picking up 750 quid, I'm not having that. You've made it to the TV major.
No. No. We didn't say the Lukes weren't attending New York, so they're not attending Australia. They both said in media last year from Australia that they weren't going. I believe the Littlers have already booked a family holiday as well. So it's Australia that Luke and Luke won't be attending.
But no, it's like it is exciting, and I quite I like, and I know I take the mick and call it a qualifier, but I quite like that group stage, and it's quite a nice, it's a nice tournament, and it is an opportunity. But when you look down, I mean, to be honest, you look down the seeded players for the group stage, and you look down the other tour card holders that are going to be in that group stage, and I think one side's better than the other, and it ain't the seeded side. If you look down that list and you think, oh, I'm not sure, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Look, all eyes as well. I think it's been quite clever. The first Pro Tours of the year, Players' Championship 1 and 2, the 9th and 10th of February, Halle 39 in Hildesheim. Surprised that the first ones, I think the first ones last year might have been in the Netherlands, or certainly one of the first, if not 1 and 2, 3 and 4 in the Netherlands. But the first one, surprised, or a way of getting people to go because it's the first one?
Yeah, I think that's perhaps it. People want to get, if you go there, bank some money, you can skip a load more of them, don't you? Like, if you manage to pick some money up, get yourself up the order of merit, make sure you're qualified for the European Championships, then yeah, it could. And some people want to just get it out the way, get it done. Yeah, I think it's a tactical decision, but I don't think it's a bad one. I think it's a tactical decision that will work.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I don't think we'll see Luke and Luke there, if I'm being honest. We got Premier League night 1. So, and then again, the week after, the Premier League is in Antwerp. So it's been quite clever with their
logistics. Yeah, you can get some people. There'll be a few of them not flying home, I would have thought, in between, just travelling from one place to another.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I would guess.
Look, the new season is here. What are you most looking forward to? Again, this is one of the shows I love every year because we get to look ahead to the new year. What do we expect in chat room? Again, get involved in this as well. What are we expecting?
What am I most looking
What
forward?
are we most looking forward to?
So I'll skip past the Masters. I'll skip the Premier League because we're going to talk loads about the Premier League. But at this stage, I'm really looking forward to the UK Open because we can get some really wild draws. Like we can have people, crafted not an easy route, but a much more winnable route through. And I think that we've got some players on tour with cards now that could do real damage in a format like the UK Open. And I think the last 8 of the UK Open could be bonkers, like a mad list of people. I'm going to be there, so I'm really looking forward to it. But I'm really looking forward to the UK Open.
Yeah, look, the UK Open's again, a lot of love for Bo in the chat room. Yeah, look, I can't wait to see Bo on tour. I'm interested because weekend 1 for her, you've got Women's Series in Hildesheim. So will she go over early, play Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because there's a Euro Tour qualifier? Or does Bo skip the first Women's Series to concentrate on Players' Championship 1, 2 and qualifiers for ET 1 and 2? There's a conundrum there.
I don't think it's a conundrum. I don't think it's a conundrum. I think that she would prioritize the Pro Tour. I would expect that she would fit convenient Women's Series events around everything else rather than trying to fit the new tour card around the Women's Series. And I think she could probably play 2/3 of it and probably still win. With the greatest of respect to everybody else, you wouldn't need to be dragging yourself over to Hildesheim if you had something big to do the next week.
No, I'm agree.
I wouldn't have thought that was a wise use of time, effort, energy, or money.
There's a couple of good ones in here. We'll come to them. I like this one from Dave. Can Jan van Veen join the Luke to create the big 3 in the sport? And I look at this like the tennis era when we had the best in Rafa Nadal, Djokovic, Federer, and Murray. We had the 4 horsemen. Can we get something similar in darts?
What I think it's missing, if I'm honest, and it needs to come from probably one of 3 places. I think it needs to come from probably Michael van Gerwen, Gary Anderson, or James Wade, because I think you need that in order for that, almost that dynamic to be perfect. I think you need the elder statesman amongst that, you know, those three younger people. I think that's what I think if you've got those three younger players, because Luke Humphries is still a younger player. It's hard to remember sometimes because he carries himself so mature and sort of steady, and he doesn't sort of behave like a young man, but he is. He's a young player in the game. And he's a young player still to the top end of the game. But I think in order for that to be really cool and like us to really enjoy that mix, is I would like to see the addition of that elder statesman. I'd like to see a Michael Van Gerwen, a Gary Anderson, or a James Wade step up. Now, what you're not going to get that from Gary if he's not going to play the Premier League, because that's going to be over the course of the next 3-4 years if you're looking to build that dynamic. Yes, it would be amazing if Jan could, run deep and put either of the Lukes out in a couple of big ones this year to mix up those finals. We've seen a lot of the same final in recent years. It would be nice to see that varied more often. But I do think, you need that to get that dynamic really nice. You need that elder statesman element to it.
It's an interesting one because I like the idea of the four horsemen and so on. I like it. You
need someone else to pull their socks up, though, don't you?
Correct.
And I think you need that from a dynamic of, like, even just from a media point of view, right? Luke Humphries is incredibly intelligent, very respectful, interviews beautifully, speaks really well. Luke Littler, like, shows every ounce of his media training in 90% of his interviews. Like, he's really good. Jan is a really, really clever, respectful, nice lad. I feel like you almost need in that a Michael or a James Wade just to like fucking prod the others a bit and get a bit and
I was about to say, so what you need is we need MVG to pull his socks up and then go on the stage like he does, call him boring, say he's not very good.
Yeah. Tell him to get off his phone. Tell him to do that. Tell him to do this. Like, 100%. Like, I want him to care. And I don't know if he does or he doesn't. You might say he does, and he's devastated about it, and he's got the eye of the tiger, and he wants to go. Like, I want him to be furious that he isn't the Dutch number one. And that's what adds to that little foursome, doesn't it? That's what adds to that little is those little like side quests among them. It's like two of them are, and then of course what you've got potentially is you've got two World Cup teams in that as well. Now, do we all care more about the World Cup if they are if the top four are the two World Cup teams? Yeah, of course we do. It's miles more fun. Like, that's really cool. So I think but it does need we're not going to get the like gritty, snappy, frustrated rivalry that we want, that we crave from these three very nice young chaps that are at the top of the game. And we need someone with a big wooden spoon to come in and just give it a bit. That's what we need. That's what it needs. And it might not be, I've used the example like of those, those players because they've got the track record of it. That is, of the Michael Van Gerwen, of the James Wade and of Gary Anderson. It might not be that. It could be someone, an elder statesman might not be the wrong word. It might be someone like an Aspinall who finds it again, who's then willing to give it a bit and less high five and hugs on stage. But if you're going to have that little collection of players at the top, you need one of them. Littler's offered it a bit. He's offered it a bit. Like he's offered it a bit at times. We've seen a bit at the World Championships, but you need someone in that mix who's less hugs and high fives and face stroking on stage.
Also, I like this one from Andrew. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do to the Grand Slam.
Yes.
I think that could be interesting.
Very interesting. The Grand Slam it's such a good No, what's the best word? Its root, its history, what it once was such a brilliant idea for a tournament. The concept was so good. The idea that you could have these players from completely different, it's not different organizations, it's rival organizations, and that was amazing. And that somebody from one organization or the other, granted, it only ever happened one time where the other organization won it, but the idea that you felt that competitiveness and the way that the players were selected and the matchups that you saw matches at that event that you simply could not see. You should be in bed. I might have to go and deal with that. Yeah, but you saw matches that you couldn't see. For that, he's getting a towel in now. She must have heard him. You for it, son. That was your biggest mistake. You could have got away with watching the whole show then, but you couldn't get away. You couldn't resist in the chat room. He's getting his ass kicked now. But no, it's such a it was such a novelty because you saw games that you didn't see. You didn't get to see those matches, and that's what it's lost. So then you have to ask the question: what is it? What is it, and what does it sort of represent? And what does winning it mean? Yeah, what does winning it mean? Have you just picked up another pot on the telly? Yeah, well, there's loads of pots on the telly, isn't there? And it's got to mean something. And I don't think anyone would disagree with the idea that it's lost its identity. Yes, there is a very complex and large qualifying procedure. Yeah, that's quite cool. The little mini league structure, Champions League style format is cool, but what is it? What's its identity?
Also, we're talking about the good things for this year. I think we're in danger of losing some established household names this year.
You better believe it, Philip.
I think there is a lot on the line for players. With the increased money that we now have in the game, there is a lot on the line. And I look at Dave Chisnell, Peter Wright, Dimitri van den Berg. They're just the first three. Brendan Dolan.
To mind.
Brendan Dolan. How many are we going to lose?
I think we are witnessing across the game a bit of a changing of the guard. And I think as we are seeing, so what seems to be happening, which is quite dramatic, is where we are getting some new players at the very top of the game. We're getting new debutants into the Premier League, and we're getting the Jan van Veens and the Josh Rocks that are like right up the top. But then what we're not seeing the players that they're replacing, dip outside the top 8, not quite make the Premier League. Your Peter Wrights, your Rob Crosses, etc. We're seeing them like we're having to have a serious look at and say, well, will they keep their cards? They're looking at being gone from the tour, not in the Premier League anymore. Like they're in big bother. Some of those big names. Dimitri van den Berg was regular in and out every year, Premier League major winner. Looks like I can't see. I'd be staggered if he's still got a card next year. Staggered. But I also think almost like, if you want to call it the mid-table, your consistent mid-table that's been there for quite a long time now, and it's players like Ian White, for example, is a good example of Ian White, who's like he's always there. Like he's always there. He's always around. He'll qualify for Alexandra Palace. Like he'll just be there. But you look at Ian White and you think, I'm not sure he holds his card this year. Like, he might not. Ian White's going to have to work hard to hold on to a tour card. There's other players as well. You mentioned, and I know we saw a big run. Well, Mencia probably got himself out of it at the Worlds. But, there is a number of other players that are defending big lumps of money. And it's so hard to see where it's going to come from. I worry for Michael Smith. And I think it's because some of these players are going to fall outside of... They're going to fall outside of being even able to pick big money up. Because if you're not in the tournaments with a big prize, you're not going to... some of these guys are defending a shit ton of money at tournaments they ain't going to be at. And it's not about how well they play or don't play. And it's not about, well, if you go to the match play, can you defend your match play money? They're not even going to get invited. They're not going to be there. You can just write that money off. So I think there is a number who are going to have to work very hard, and they're going to have to work harder than ever because the standard around them is getting better. The players above them are getting better. The players in the mid-table, if you will, are better than ever. The standard in that mid-table is better than it's ever been. And the new players coming onto the tour are very, very, very good. It's going to be really tough.
I agree. I think it's interesting how this is going to go. It's a massive year for MVG. Look, he's not going to lose his card, but in terms of where he falls to or maintains, look, could Michael defend all that money? Yeah, of course he could. But we need to see more from him. He needs to play more darts. That's a certainty. Then I look down. Damon Heta, not been playing particularly well, always defending money. Rob Cross has to have a big year. Dave Chisnell, I don't know where to go with Dave. Dimitri van den Berg looks gone.
So Dimitri van den Berg, for example, at the UK Open in March this year, first week of March this year, is defending 110 grand. That 110 grand is like a third of his ranking money. He's going to lose a third of his money. And then, once he's lost that 110 grand off his ranking money, he's then got, you look at where the rest of his money is, and you think, well, match play, Grand Prix, that's 40 grand and 30 grand. You're not going to be there. He's not going to be at those events. There's another 70 grand that it's no matter how well he plays, he's not, that week, he'll be on his practice board at home playing really well because he's not going to be at those events. There's 180 grand that I cannot see him a way that he picks up of the 335 that he's got on his ranking at the minute. And I think he's got big problems. Big problems.
Yeah, Raymond, again, I don't see Raymond's defending 134 grand, 54% of his money. But I don't see how he defends that. And yes, he's obviously going to add to it. He's going to win games on the Pro Tour here and there. But I don't see him adding huge chunks to it. The only benefit that Barney's got this year is the highest figure anywhere in any lump that he's defending is 15 grand. And one's from the match play just gone, so you ain't got to worry about that. So he's got 15 grand. Sorry, the World Championship just gone. He's got 15 grand to defend at the World Championships. 10 grand at the match play.
10 grand at the match play.
7.5 at the European Championships.
See, it's not a lot, is it? It's not a lot.
It's commutative. Like you think, I'm looking at the first 4 Pro Tours that he's defending this year. He's defending a grand at number 1, 3.5, 2.5, 3.5. If he loses first round of all of them, all of a sudden, that's over 10 grand. It's that leap. European Tour, UK Open. I don't see it. John, I'm one of the biggest MVG fans you will ever meet. I'm concerned because I don't know if that hunger is there. If the hunger and the desire is there, he can turn it round. But based off of what we've seen, when he walked off the stage at the World Championship, he almost seemed happy to lose. That annoyance wasn't there. And whenever Michael's lost a game, he might have lost with 100 plus average. He's still annoyed when he's walking off stage. And that wasn't there. That's my concern.
Concerned are you? I'm not talking tour card here, obviously, but just in volume, how worried are you about Stephen Bunting carrying 309 grand, 308 grand into this year?
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money to defend, isn't it? 300 grand is a lot of money to defend when you are in 12 months.
And especially because 100 grand of it is at the World Championships.
Exactly.
There is a huge chunk. Look, can he cover that before the World Championships? Quite possibly. But if you look at it, he's defending. I'm looking at, there's 10 grand, 15 grand, 8.5, 8.5, 15 grand, 10, 10, 10, 7, 12 and a half, 100. There's chunks all over the place.
Especially when he's, I think it could be tough. I think it could be tough this year.
For a lot of players, the start of the season is crucial. They have to get off to flyers. They cannot, let's take the first 10 Pro Tours. You have to have got to quarterfinals, semi-finals. You have to have some money. The first 4 or 5 Euro Tours, you have to have gotten to the final day and bank some money.
Yeah.
If you fail early on, if you fail in the Masters, you're under pressure then. And we know pressure can create diamonds, but it can also give you an absolute headache as well. And invite pressure that you don't want, you don't need.
100%. And, the UK Open, I think, is a big one because there's so much potential catastrophe in terms of the draw that just nobody can take anything for granted. And where people are defending, 10 grand at the UK Open, the likes of Bunting, defending 10 grand. Yeah, well, you've got to get, that's the 6th round of the UK Open. That's a big tournament. It's a big pyramid it's a huge bracket. Like, that's 6 games and that's 6 people where, without taking the piss, you could be playing anyone. Like, you could be, like, it's making 6 games at the UK Open is very, very tough. Could be very easy if you look at, depending on how kind the draw is to you.
Yeah.
But that could be tough.
Yeah. Brad says an interesting. What players do you think could fly up the rankings? Well, there's one that I like.
Depends where are we looking. Are we looking sort of breaking into the top 10, breaking into the top 12? Is that what we're thinking? Like a breakout from midfield?
I think Gerwyn Price flies up the rankings. He's only defending about 160 grand this year. And for someone of Gerwyn Price's standards, that's not a lot of money.
No, and a lot of his money is last year, isn't it? 15 grand at the match play, now 15 grand at the Grand Prix. Yeah, Gezi could benefit from a lot of players around him defending a lot more than he is. And when he's picking up a bit more than them, he could just find his way climbing up the ladder.
Johnny's only defending 210 grand. And with the increased prize money, that's not enough. That's not a lot. Rob said it there. Aspinall isn't defending a lot of money either.
I expect, and it's just because of all the people that are around him or above him, I think the next 10 players above him, he'll have a better year than them. And it's a bit of a rogue pick, but I think Ricardo Pietrasco will not be like mid-30s come the end of the year. I think he'll be hovering around mid-20s because I just think he'll have a better 12 months than most of the 10 players above him.
I think Willie O'Connor is going to as well. He's only defending 50 grand.
Yeah, that's an opportunity. And I suppose I stuck to my, like, I went heavy on it last year and the year before, and the year is coming, but Connor Scott is a far better player than his sort of hovering around 50th in the world rankings suggests. And there is money in him. And I think he could certainly break into the top 32. I'm not saying he's going to go and smash up the top 10, but Connor Scott is good enough. And we've picked it, or I've picked it for a couple of years, and it's just not, he's had shit luck with draws at times, and he's played exceptionally well in games and then somehow got beat. And sooner or later, I think it will click.
Yeah.
Connor.
I think it's interesting. I think I'm really, the dynamic of this year, I am looking forward to it.
Also, my other pick for the year, maybe not straight away, but in 2025, we will see the return of Rids, and we will see Callan Rids reascend to his glorious northeast best. I think we'll see some big stuff from Callan this year.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. So yeah, that's interesting. We haven't done a proper question time in a long time, have we?
We've had a lot of questions come in tonight as well, haven't we?
Right. Let's have a proper, good old 10-minute question time. Fire them in chat room. We haven't, because the last few shows have been absolutely manic, and we haven't done a good question time in a while. Most rogue prediction for 2026.
Well, it was James Wade to be in the Premier League, but that's already gone wrong. My rogue prediction has gone wrong. So I'm going to say James Wade to win a TV title.
Is that rogue?
How many people agree it's going to happen? Do you?
Could I see it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe it's not rogue then. But I think who will finish 2026 as the Welsh number one? We'll come to that in a minute. That's a good question.
Rogue prediction. Peter Wright wins a Pro Tour.
Match play won't be won by a Luke. That's rogue, believe me.
Yeah. Peter Wright wins a Pro Tour.
Fucking hell. That's not rogue. That's absurd. Levels to it, and you've gone far too far off the top.
Have I gone way over the top here? Were the rumours about Bunting being in the PL and another player being touch and go? There you go. Do you think some of the play Littler to win every major? Not happening, because I don't think he makes Minehead, because he doesn't play enough Pro Tours.
Yeah, I just, as much as I like the kid, nobody wants to see it, do they? Because we want stories, we want variation, we want something a bit interesting. England are winning the World Cup, though, aren't they, this year? Do we right the wrong? That was a wrong. A wrong was done, and now the wrong needs to be righted. But that Dutch team could be...
This depends on who the Dutch team is.
We know who the Dutch team is. He's not throwing his toys out the pram just because he's not the number one anymore. Oh, and he won't be the captain. He can't not go just because he's not the captain.
That's not that. Look, he hasn't. What has he missed? 3 of the last 4?
Oh, I know, but Phil. This is my problem with the 4 horsemen. It's not going to happen if he don't pull his socks up, is it?
Can you pick a Premier League format for next year? Oh,
I can tell you what the format will be next year. I can tell you what the format will be next year. If you want to read all about it, I suggest you go on the Wikipedia page for this year's Premier League, last year's Premier League, and the Premier League before that. There you go. Thank you for coming. Next question.
12 players, 2 elimination nights.
Yeah. Well, I've got to go different, haven't I? Division, Premier League, Championship, alternative weeks, promotion and relegation, midway through.
Oh, I like this one from Andrew. Gary to win a TV title or Bo to win a Euro Tour? Oh.
What? One or the other? Bo to win a Euro Tour. Bo, for me, it is more likely that Bo wins a Euro Tour than Gary wins a TV title.
No, I've got Gary winning a TV title this year.
Which one?
The match play.
Fuck. Ooh, wow. Well,
there you go.
Expect me in Blackpool if that's on the cards. Expect me to be there.
You were there last year, so I was expecting it anyway. Or
I'll be in Blackpool again this year. That's my annual.
Have you not cleared this one with Mrs. Simpson yet?
Do you know what I haven't done yet? And I will do it live on here. Is I haven't actually looked at the dates of the. Let me see. Oh, it's perfect again.
Is it?
Yeah. Do you know what it is? That it's even perfect because it means like Anna and the kids visiting for a few days as well. Yeah. It does put me on a sticky wicket again because I do think we've got Billy's birthday on the day of the final. So I might not be at the final. I might have to be at the final. He might need to be there for his birthday if Gary's winning. I can't not. I say to him, son, look, I don't know. What you might find that day, Phil, is when I get into the press room, I'm carrying a very large backpack that wriggles a bit. There might be a little boy in it.
Wade or Noppert to win first major? Or
Wade.
Noppert. Do you think Johnny Clayton will win a TV title this year?
No.
Yes.
Hey, tell you what, we're doing well here, aren't we?
Mine's a cop out though. I think Wales win the World Cup.
You know something.
Why don't they pay for it's Barry's always believed in. I'm not saying he's right, by the way, but it's been his principle that you need to win to receive money. You don't get money for turning up.
Yeah, don't expect that to change anytime soon. I mean, most of us disagree with it, but it ain't changing. You just got to make your peace with the stuff you can't control.
I'm not sure on this one.
Nope. You are more like we're back in the category of Peter Wright winning the Pro Tour again, aren't we? We're back there.
To be fair, day off. Might need to take a session off. One of my really good mates is getting married, and it's on the same weekend as a Euro Tour. So the Friday night, you may need to do the watch along, but I'll still do the afternoon one.
I think I can cover you for that. You sometimes have a day off. You sometimes squeak a day off in. Are you having a day off? Are you having a day off the day before Newcastle's Premier League? You sometimes squeak a little trip up to the seaside, don't you, before that?
The issue is this time is Newcastle's the first night, which means there'll be a media day.
Oh. That might kill your little seaside holiday, mightn't it?
That might kill my little trip to either Whitby or Scarborough.
Ah, lad. Well, you're only 40 minutes up the way, so you might have some company that day.
Right, what else have we got?
There's a lot in there tonight. It's hard to pick them.
It's been good. It's been really Justin Hood to win the UK Open. I don't dislike it.
Nobody dislikes it. Nobody dislikes that. And then there's a Chinese there as well. So wouldn't it be brilliant if he just took his check straight to the Chinese restaurant? Just went, can I have this?
Yeah.
There's me 110 grand. Can I have this now? Is that okay?
Yeah, 100%. Once he gets his restaurant, we will do a live lounge live from his Chinese.
100%. 100%. We need to cook something up. We need to record something in Minehead this year. We because there's too many other members of the team there all at the same time as well. Cam and Jara along, and we need to try and find a way to get something set up for an hour, whether it's in that pub or somewhere before play starts. We need to do a bit of something. Maybe not live. We might have to just record it.
Adam, some breaking news. I will not be at Armageddon this year.
What's the clash?
European Tour.
Oh.
So I will not be at Armageddon.
That puts some other people on the same list then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's some other people that won't be at Armageddon because of the Euro Tour.
Well, Littler's headlining, so I'm guessing Littler's putting out the Euro Tour.
Well, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you? I mean, he's good, but he's not that fucking good, is he? He's not. He's talented, but there's a limit to it, isn't it?
And controversially, I think there's another event the same night where if I had to pick, I go to the other one.
Really? We're a bit spoiled up here this year, you know. Like, we're doing all right for events. I've been looking at
the event at Middlesbrough's banging.
Yeah, it's only that's like a £6 taxi from my gaff. That.
Have you seen who's on it?
Yeah,
it's a banger.
Yeah, so have the kids. So I think they'll be coming to see their Uncle Phil that day. Yeah, but and then there's another one got added, isn't there, just before York
as well. Yeah,
we're all right this year up here for a change. I haven't got a UK Open qualifier anywhere bastard near us, mind. I think the nearest UK Open qualifier this year is 3 hours.
So for you guys in the northeast, I think you've been spoilt. So where are we? At Middlesbrough, you have Gary Anderson, Luke Humphreys, Phil Taylor, and Robert Thornton.
Do we have Phil Bars at that one as well?
I don't know, because it's the same day as Armageddon and the Euro Tour. So shock horror, Luke and Gary aren't going to the Euro Tour either.
Well, it's not worth you bothering, is it? My birthday that week.
And then the one in York is the next day. It's the same lineup.
Yeah.
So they're obviously just traveling down, which is good. Yeah, there's some good lineups. I like it.
They are getting better, aren't they? Darts exhibitions are getting better every year. They're getting bigger and better.
Yeah.
Because no one can get a ticket to the Premier League. They've got to be, haven't they?
York on the train there. Nice, Rob. Yeah, it's a good lineup at the Barbican. I like it. Everyone, I tell you what, I absolutely loved tonight's show just because we got time to chat to everyone in the chat room, which we haven't had a chance to do because we've been so busy. Niall was on. He was absolutely sensational. Great to have him on. This will be available as an audio only in the morning, so make sure you check that out as well. After the show, me and Dan are going to have a quick 5 minutes just to confirm plans over the next week. So keep an eye on social media, what we're going to have going on, but plenty in there. So if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button because we massively appreciate all the support. It is superb. We've got loads of good things coming up. We've got Jar recording some evergreen content as well, so that'll be hitting the channel as well. It's busy times for us, Dan, isn't there?
Oh, it's going to be our busiest year ever. Like, things are going to keep improving. I got a new mic today. This is good, isn't it? This is a new addition for the new year. We're liking this. Yeah, things are going to keep. It's going to be our biggest and best year ever. And a lot of the things that sort of me and Phil have committed almost to each other to, like, a lot of the things that we've talked about a lot for 5 years, we're going to actually do. Like, we're going to try to. There's lots of we've had lots and lots and lots of very good ideas, and we need to do some of these ideas. And this year could be the year where we get some more stuff done.
100%. But thank you all so much. Mondays is always a pleasure. I've been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson. We've been Online Darts, and we'll see you all very, very soon.